Welcome to the Immigration Case Law Deep Dive from the Justice Pro Network. Today we're cutting through some of the noise around recent immigration case law. We've got 6 circuit court decisions here from late July 2025.
Right? And these aren't just, dry legal texts. They really paint the picture of the challenges involved.
Exactly. It's a stark look at the incredibly high bar, really for everyone involved, petitioners and the government, shows where cases often turn.
And our goal today is, to pull out the key patterns. We're looking at government burdens, some complex claims, and importantly, navigating these really unforgiving procedural rules just to give you a quick, informed take.
Okay, so let's start with the burden of proof. This first case, Silva Borchers v. Bondi, it's from the First Circuit. It really drives home how strict this burden is. DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, they have to establish alienage, basically, prove someone isn't a U.S. citizen, and the standard is clear, unequivocal, and convincing evidence.
That's a really high standard, almost like in criminal cases, he said. And that word unequivocal, the court stressed it means proof that well admits no doubt.
So how did that play out here? It's quite interesting. DHS used these M summaries.
Yes. Those internal officer narratives, they're pretty common.
Right. But in this specific case, involving a 2-year-old child, the summary actually claimed the child understood consular rights and declined them, which is
a bit hard to believe for a 2-year-old,
to say the least. And on top of that, these summaries crucially were missing things like officer names, signatures, even any mention of foreign passports. Basic stuff, you'd think.
Pretty significant gap.
And because of those flaws, the court basically said, nope, not good enough. The case got remanded, sent back because DHS just didn't meet that really high bar.
It's a clear example of evidentiary standards mattering. Even standard documents can fall short under scrutiny. The burden on the government is real.
Definitely. But okay, proving facts like alienage is one thing. Proving the reason behind harm, the why, that's often trickier, right? This nexus problem.
Absolutely critical in Asylum and Kat Clemis's Convention Against Torture, that link between the harm and a protected ground.
We've got 3 cases that touch on this. Let's start with Perez Cruz v. Bondi. Ninth Circuit. This individual claimed persecution by cartels for a CCAT claim, but it was denied.
And the court pointed to something striking. He'd gone back to Mexico nearly 400 times after the alleged incidents began.
Wow, 400 times.
That significantly weakened his claim of fearing return. Plus, his cooperation with the U.S. government against the cartel, the court called it tenuous. The connection just wasn't strong enough.
So, no clear on account of link. And then we have Cotto Gutierrez from the First Circuit and Gomez Gabriel from the Third.
Very similar outcomes, yes. Both involve serious harms and armed robberies, things like that. You might instinctively think, that's persecution. But the courts dug deeper. They found the motive seemed to be general crime, like greed, not specifically targeting them because of who they were, like being a young man or school-aged or an indigenous woman, as argued.
Even if there were slurs used sometimes?
Apparently, that wasn't enough on its own in these cases. The court needed to see the primary motivation as being linked to that protected ground that required nexus, that connection. The courts just didn't see it proven.
Proving motive is just incredibly tough. And these difficulties, they really get amplified when you run into procedural roadblocks, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Procedural rules can completely derail a case sometimes before you even get deep into the facts.
Let's talk about those hurdles. Singh v. Bondi, 10th Circuit. Pretty stark example here. An asylum seeker was on a self-imposed hunger strike. He asked for a continuance. Denied.
And the court upheld that denial. Their reasoning was that his inability to testify wasn't due to, say, mental incompetence, but stemmed directly from his own actions, the self-incapacitation. They weren't sympathetic to delaying things because of that.
Oof. Okay, and this brings us to something really crucial procedurally. Issue exhaustion. You mentioned Cano Gutierrez and Gomez Gabriel highlight this.
Yes, very important reminder here. If the BIA, the Board of Immigration Appeals, issues a summary affirmance, basically, they agree with the lower decision without writing a whole new opinion, that does not magically save arguments you failed to make to the BIA.
So you can't hold back arguments hoping to use them later in federal court.
Exactly. You have to raise every single issue, Whether it's about a time bar, specific sea height findings, whatever it is, in your appeal to the BIA. If you don't raise it there, it's generally considered waived, gone for good when you get to the circuit court.
The Third Circuit was quite explicit on that, wasn't it? That summary affirmance doesn't resuscitate unexhausted claims.
Precisely. A very clear warning.
Okay, one last case on procedure. Gaballo-Garcia v. USCS, Ninth Circuit again. This one involves U visas and what you call the bet the farm problem.
Right. The court confirmed that federal district courts generally don't have jurisdiction. They can't step in to review USCIS denials of U visa adjustments, like when someone's trying to get their green card based on the U visa, especially if the denial is for something like a missing medical exam form, the I-693.
So even if that denial causes huge delays, puts someone at risk of removal while they wait maybe years for another chance to argue in an immigration court.
Even then, the court said, that doesn't automatically grant the district court power to jump in right now. It really shows how limited and, frankly, how slow the judicial review pathways can be sometimes.
So wrapping this up, what's the big picture here? These cases, taken together, seem to be sending a pretty strong signal.
I think so. It's about demanding standards across the board. Yeah. High burden on the government for basic facts, strict requirements for proving the why in asylum and CK, and absolutely unforgiving procedural rules.
Meticulousness seems key.
It's crucial. Every detail, from how a report is written to nailing down motive to checking every procedural box, it's all under intense scrutiny. It demands incredible precision from everyone involved.
And for you, the listener, it really highlights how these complex legal technicalities have very real, very profound human consequences.
Which leads to a bigger question, doesn't it? When the legal landscape is this demanding, this stringent, what does that mean for actual access to justice, especially for vulnerable people navigating the system?
That is definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this immigration case law deep dive from the Justice Pro Network.